Hey guys, in today's video we will be talking about shapes. We will begin by talking about some objects in our everyday life and comparing them to the shapes that we talked about yesterday, seeing which one of them they look like. So the shapes we talked about again were the triangle. Sorry, I wrote that wrong. Square, rectangle, and the circle. Those are the four shapes we talked about yesterday. So let's look at some objects from our everyday life and see which one of these four do they resemble. So we're going to start with the very screen that you are watching this on. Whether that's a laptop screen or a tablet screen, it's going to have a shape like this. Now, since it has two big sides, and I'm talking about the screen specifically, I'm not talking about this part. Talking about the screen. So since it has two big sides, one, two, and two small sides that are equal, so the small sides are equal and then the big sides are equal, and it has four equal angles, that means that this is a rectangle. So the screen you're watching on is a rectangle. Next, we have a chessboard. A chessboard has four sides that are all equal, and it has four equal angles. So here, 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 and here, which makes it a square. And you can also see that a chessboard actually is filled with squares inside. All of these little shapes in here are all individual squares. So here we have a square. Next up, we have a blackboard, like the ones that we have in the classroom. So here we have, are all the sides equal? No, this is bigger, this is smaller than this. But the two big sides, the top and the bottom, are equal, and the two small sides, so the right and the left, are also equal. So this is a rectangle. Next up, we have a plate. Well, a plate is very much like a circle. It has no sides, it has no angles. It has a center right here. Its center is right here. And all the points on the edge of the plate are the same distance from the center. So a plate is a circle. Now, of course, there are plates that are squares and other shapes, but this specific plate is a circle. Next up, we have some signs that we see in our everyday lives now. This shape right here we talk about. This is an octagon. That's what I would call it, but we haven't talked about that yet, so we're not gonna talk about it now. So first up, we have this shape, which, as you can tell, is a circle. Has no sides, no angles. It's a circle. Here we have a triangle, since it has 1, 2, 3 sides and 1, 2, 3 angles. And here we have another triangle here with 1, 2, 3 sides and 1, 2, 3 angles. But what is this here? Because you might get a little confused because it's on the side. It's a little turned. But let's say if we were to turn this like this, what you would see is, oh, 4 equal sides, 4 same sides, and 4 equal angles. 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is a square. It doesn't matter that it's turned on its side. It's still a square because all you need to have a square is 1, 2, 3, 4 equal sides and 4 equal angles. Moving on, we are going to be talking about how to create these shapes except for the circle. We're not going to be talking about the circle yet because you need a special tool in order to make circles, and we're not going to be using those this year at all. But we are going to be talking about how to make a triangle, a square, and a rectangle. Not in that order particularly, but you'll see. So we're going to start off with the triangle. The first two sides of the triangle have nothing in particular that we need to do. We can just make one and then another one. And I can take this line wherever I want, and I can still finish the triangle. So I'm going to show you a few examples. Let's say I take it here. Okay. The last line is the one that needs something specific. It needs to go back to the beginning. So I began this triangle here, right? This is where I started from. I went like this and then like this. Well, now I need to go back to where it started. So if you want, you can say that, okay, I'll make a dot at where I'm going to start the triangle, so I know where I have to end up at the end. So basically you just have to close it like this. It has to close the triangle at the end. Let's do another one. Let's say instead of like that, I took this line. Again though, I'm starting from this point. I started from here, right? And let's say now that I make this line. Okay? Now again, what I have to do is continue from this point that I just stopped onto where I began the triangle from. So right here. Okay? I could make a triangle that's really, really tiny. Like a triangle like this. And it's really, really close to where we started the shape. Again, all I have to do is just make another line that goes to the beginning of the shape. There we go. That's a triangle. See? This side is really, really small up here. It's really, really tiny, but it's still there. It's still a separate side from all the other ones. There are still 3 sides and 3 different angles. So that's how we make a triangle. Let's move on to how we make a rectangle. Now, to make a rectangle, we're going to need a ruler. We're going to need the ruler more so to make the angles in a specific way, rather than actually measuring anything. So let's say I make the first line. I can make the first line without a ruler. That's perfectly fine. So this is the first side, okay? The next side I'm going to do, since it's a rectangle, does not have to be the same as the side I just made. So I can make it, if I want, I can make it really short, or I can make it even longer than this side. Let's say, though, that I make this. Okay, great, but it has to be specifically like this. And what I mean by that is that it can't be off to the side, so it can't be like this. No, 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 no. And it can't be like this. No, it has to be straight. Like this. Now, how do I do that? And that's where my ruler comes in. How? I'm going to take my ruler And I'm going to place it on this edge of the line. And I need to be really careful. If I want to be, I need to be careful not to have it rotated to the side like this or like this. It needs to be exactly like this. But if I want to be really careful about it and be very, very precise, what I can do is place my ruler in such a way that one of these lines, so here, like this line, this line, or this line, or this line, any of these lines, I want them to line up exactly with the line that I've already made. So if I place it like this, great. Here, great, they lined up. But if I had it like this, let's say, and I went to place it, oh, you can see that it looks like they don't line up. It actually makes a turn. I don't want that. If it's like that, then I'm not going to get a rectangle. I'm going to get something else. So I want these lines, one of these lines, to line up exactly with the side that I just made. And now I can take my pencil and create the next side. Again, it doesn't have to be any specific length. Well, it can be whatever I want. And then I want to do the same thing for the top side. But the problem is that the top side needs to be exactly as long as this bottom side. Oh, actually, I made a mistake. This needed to be a little bit further to the left. Right there. So, since the top side needs to be exactly the same in length as the bottom side, I can take this ruler, measure the bottom side, let's actually make it a little shorter because I want it to be exactly 20. There. See, now I made it a little shorter so that it's exactly 20. And then I'm going to take my ruler, I'm going to take it up to the point where the shape stopped, so right here. And again, I have to place it in such a way so that these lines here, so that they line up with this line, with this side. So if I place it like this, great. But if I had placed it like this, for example, no, that's a mistake, because you can see that this line here does not line up with this side. They're not on the same line. So I'm not going to place it like this. This would be a mistake. I'm going to place it like this. And then I'm going to take my pencil and make a new side that is exactly the same as the bottom side. So it has to be 20 centimeters, because remember, I measured this and it was 20. Okay, great. I made it. Now I can take my ruler away and I can just unite. I can just close off this box. No ruler required. Oh, come on. So there you go. There's a rectangle. Perfectly made. Alright? Great. Now let's erase all that. And now we're going to make a square. Okay, well, here's how I make a square. I make one side, however long I want. Okay? Let's make it this long. All of the other sides are going to need to be this exact same length. So Actually, now let's measure that first side because I don't want it to be anything odd. I'd like for it to be exactly on one of the numbers. So let's make it 10, for example. Let's make it 10 centimeters. Great, it's 10 centimeters. Now my next step, again, is to make the next side. So I'm going to place my ruler in such a way that these lines, I want them to line up with this side. So like this. See how they line up? That's what I want. And then I'm going to make the next side. But this side also has to be 10. Like the previous side. Next, again. I'm going to take my ruler and place it so that it lines up with one of the sides. Actually, let's do this side. Let's do this side. I'm going to turn it to the side like this. Place it here. Have they lined up? Yeah. They're all right. And I'm going to make another side that's 10 centimeters. So right there. And then I can just finish off the last side. No ruler required. And there you go. That's a perfect square. So that's how I make each of these shapes. Okay? Now the circle, again, we're not going to talk about this here. So you just saw triangle, square, rectangle. That'll be all for today. Tomorrow and Thursday you have worksheets. So do those, and then on Friday we're going to do them together. So I'll see you guys again on Friday. Bye.